relationship is so crucial in when you're connecting with God.
Right.
He doesn't really want you just going to church. He wants that relationship. We tend to think that we have to get perfect, or we have to reach that state of perfection in order for God to do anything with us. When in reality, he wants us the same way he got his disciples.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't tell this Peter, go to Bible school, you know, take a couple courses in ministry.
Right.
You know, he said, no, Peter, get off your boat with the fishy smell.
Yeah.
And come on and
Just
follow
how you
me.
are.
I want you
Peter
just
was like,
the way you
look
are.
now.
Yeah, you know.
I ain't the one.
Right. I'm a
Like,
cusser
nah,
and I'm a
you-
fighter and
you
I'm
are
a
the
scraper.
one.
You know, but that's what he wanted.
Right.
And that's who he's using in these, especially in this season.
Yeah.
He's using those who are willing to say, okay, just the way I am.
Yeah.
Here I am. Can you do anything with me? I drink. Well, he can use you.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you know, I do weed. He can use you. You know, well, you know, I've done some things to some people. Well, he can use you.
Yeah.
Because God is not concerned about how right you are. He's concerned about how obedient you can be.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Talking Faith podcast. I am your host, the best host in the world. Yeah, speaking for myself.
For yourself.
Yes, sir. Speaking for myself. I am Jalen Phifer. I have with me yet again the one, the only, the great Dr. P. Jonathan Porterfield.
Bless your heart, son.
The apostle, pastor, what else are you? Everything. He's everything all in one. The prophet, the mighty man of God.
Bless you. Bless you.
You can catch him over at Love Nation on 2700 West Cervantes Street. I go to church with him. Look, I'm telling you, it's in your best interest to come to 2700 West Cervantes Street at 11:30 a.m. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you from my personal experience. I feel like experience speaks volumes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, we got you with us today.
Here we go again.
I done pulled you out.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. We'll see what he has to say. I've heard a little bit of his story every now and then. Let's see if he tells the truth and the whole truth. You know, I get people on here and I tell them what it is, and they just so sugarcoat it.
No, I'm gonna tell the truth. I might not tell the whole truth, but I will definitely tell the truth.
I just need the truth.
The truth.
All right, so I've been doing this series. I feel like God gave it to me.
Yes.
And it's pretty much just been a testimonial. We have all types of different people in the world, and they've come from different places. Some of them are still in those different places. And some people just honestly don't know that there is a way out. Mm-hmm. So we started this series hopefully to let somebody know that, hey, you know, whatever perspective you come from, you may be a drug dealer, you may be poor, whatever you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find some of everybody that's been some of everywhere, that's done some of anything to let you know that you don't have to stay here.
You don't have to stay.
That God can change your life. So I just came to see if I could get a little story out of you about how God changed your life. I mean, your son talked for 45 minutes straight, so let's see.
Well, I don't have 45 minutes of history.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I have come a long way. It's been a journey. I'm grateful to God that I've reached the age that I am. Mm-hmm. It was not supposed to have been. But I grew up in my early years. I grew up in Philadelphia and connected with a gang there. I was in a gang. I rose through the ranks and became a junior warlord in the gang. My job was to sit with the other gang leaders and arrange where we would battle, what types of battles, whether they were fair ones or whether we would use weapons or things of that nature. So in that, while there, I was in a fight As a matter of fact, the fight was in the middle of New Jersey and Philadelphia. It was on the bridge. And I got stabbed in that battle. It was about 2 inches from my heart. Ooh. And it didn't look good. It didn't look good. But God spared me through that. Spared me. And I was supposed to come out of the gang at that time, but I couldn't see my way coming out. There were things that were going on because I was in a gang that I thought was very good to me. Learn things and different things of that nature. And so one day the Lord spoke to my mother and said, move now or he'll die. And that he had an assignment on my life. It was that time we moved up to New Haven, Connecticut, lived there, began going to church, but I was going to church in Philadelphia, but I was going to church, and like many people today, they're going to church, but they have no real relationship. Right. Yeah, and the relationship is so crucial in when you're connecting with God. Right. He doesn't really want you just going to church. Right. He wants that relationship. Yeah. So while I was in Connecticut, I began to establish that relationship. I worked in the church. I was a musician. I became the musician. It was funny because I learned how to play the guitar a little bit when I was young in Philadelphia. My pastor in Philadelphia played the guitar. Yeah. And so I wanted to be like him, So I got a guitar, and the Lord anointed me to play, and I played guitar for a while. But when I was in Connecticut, I was anointed to play the piano, the organ. And it happened in a service. I was playing my guitar at one of the broadcast services, and the musician came in and was a little tipsy. That's interesting. And so, yeah, right. And so my pastor was upset and frustrated, and he said, God, send me a musician who will be faithful to the call. And I just felt led to put my guitar down. Yeah. And I got on the piano. And
that
same night.
Had you ever played the piano?
I had never played the piano before. And so we muddled through. Some kind of way I played for the broadcast, and this was back in those days. It was a half-hour television broadcast. So here I am, muddling through. And so that's when I would say when God really said, okay, I really want to use you. Yeah. And I'll do whatever it takes to use you. But I hadn't settled in with the relationship. Right. And so while in Connecticut, I got into some other things, some other things.
Some other things, okay.
For lack of a better word. It was the mercies of God that sustained me. I got into stuff that that a lot of people are involved in nowadays. A little bit of drugs and doing things. And I wasn't a bad looking fellow back in those days.
That's what they said.
That's what they told me. I don't know, but because I have very long hair.
Got to see a picture of that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like I had a fro that was out here. And so the girls used to like to want to braid my hair, but that led always
to something completely different.
Altogether. And so and it's amazing how we learn to use the things that we come across, and we make them strengths. Yeah. So my hair was my thing. Yeah. So as the hairstyles changed, my hairstyles changed. I remember one season I had wavy and, hair.
I know you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I would roll up my hair at night. I don't know if you've ever seen the old James Brown pictures with the, I had my hair. Oh, man, you have no idea. I had hair. Okay.
I don't know where I'm going to find it.
I will never.
I'm going to find it.
I will never allow you to find it. I will go on. I will go on the book tonight. Google and hide everything. But it was crazy, you know. I went through that stage in my life. I guess I would be what would be referred to today as a player. You know, I had game, and I've always been able to talk. So I could talk my way into or out of. But so and it kind of took me to another place, you know, because I could convince, for lack of a better word, and so you know, I had to be freed from that because it began becoming a weakness, but a strength at the same time. I don't know if you can, you know.
I'm a man.
Yeah. So I learned. I got through all of that time, and there was an occasion when I did something really, really stupid. I probably shouldn't be saying all this. You can edit this part out. I'm not gonna say no more because this is it. But that was the account when I really heard God say, "I've spared your life for the last time." And so I said, okay, look, this is it. I'm going to be who God has called me to be. And even at that time, when all of this took place, I was in ministry. You know, it was crazy. You know, and I administered in some very large churches, but I still had that thing on me. You know, and then I think I was spoiled by some of the old. I don't want to say fathers of the church, but some of the older preachers, pastors. You know, you go in and they would actually, you know, you can pick from 1, 2, or 3 of these. You know, keep you ready, that kind of thing.
Keep you ready.
You know, so
you know, I had heard something like that.
Yes.
Before, but I didn't believe it.
Yes, it was. I would say it was true.
Yeah.
You know, you're preaching to 1,000, 1,500 people, and you go back after your service, and there were, you know, three or four young ladies lined up, and he would actually tell you, take your pick. You know, this is a belly warmer.
A belly warmer.
Yeah. Now, I no names, no blames.
No.
I'm just saying this is something that happened, and so I had that on me. Didn't matter. I had it on me, and so when that situation took place with the state trooper, he said, "This is the last time I'm sparing your life, and not just sparing your life, but sparing you for ministry." So it was after that I really got myself together and really started seeking the face of God. I was riding along in a car with my pastor and one of the deacons who was a prophet, and he said, God said he's going to use you as a prophet in these last days. And I didn't come up with prophets, you know. I knew my pastor could, you know, speak a word of knowledge, you know. But that was strange to me because, you know, hey, got prophets, you know. And so I really didn't want it. I'll tell the truth, I did not want it. But then I started traveling with other young ministers of the gospel, and who were profound in their day. And I guess that the traveling part of it, you know, attached itself to me. So I became an evangelist. And being an evangelist out on the road, but then I grew up in a very affluent season. And what do I mean by that? I grew up where evangelists could, you know, generate $5,000, $6,000, $9,000 a week.
Ooh.
You know, so with that, I kind of got into that. You know, I like this.
I could do this.
Yeah, you know, and I was, because of my gift of being able to talk, I could really raise an offering. And those of you that are listening, this is not who I am now. This is where God has brought me from. I've transitioned into who I am now. But You know, back then I was riding in my limousine. I had a full staff and things of that nature. We were going everywhere, traveling. Fly in, my limo would be waiting there for me, and so I lived that kind of life. I lived large,
Right.
Best hotels, best restaurants. I would go to churches and give diamond rings away. I just had it like that. But then I recognized me getting into a whole nother place.
Right.
I'm grateful to God that it wasn't a situation where my life
Right.
could have been taken or snuffed out, but I had gone into a part of ministry that was pulling me away from God.
Right.
I didn't really want to preach because I wanted a soul saved.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was preaching because I got to generate payroll.
Right.
I gotta meet my budgets, and so $8,000-9,000 a week, 12,000 some places, depending on where I went and what I really set myself to do. So okay, I'm up, and when I say I'm up,
Yeah.
I'm up on top. I'm penthouse, apartments and hotel rooms and things of that
doing it,
nature.
man.
Yes, limo, everything, and so again, here he comes again.
Yeah.
You haven't learned the lesson. Hey, I'm out here preaching
Right.
night after night after night. I learned it.
Right.
I said, no, you didn't learn the lesson, because I was preaching for the wrong,
Right.
gain. My motives
Right.
were not right. So he stripped me of everything. Okay. When I say everything,
Everything.
everything. It started out, my driver said, I'm going back home. So how does a man look driving his own limo?
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
So I'm driving my own limo, and everybody in the team is
So
sitting
you
in the
did?
back, and I'm driving.
And you try.
And it's my limo.
Yeah.
So I should have got it then, but I didn't. And he was taking everything from me. Took the team, took the limo, and I wasn't preaching as like I was, and so my income went down.
Yeah.
And I was accustomed to $8,000-9,000 a week, $11,000 a week, and that dropped down to maybe 1,000. The churches, the big churches, were closing their doors on me, and so I'm now at these little places where they only had me in because of my reputation. There were a few places that called me, but they didn't call me to preach. They called me because they knew my ability to raise an offering. So everything just went completely down. God said, "You belong to me.
Yeah.
You do as I say,
Right.
or you won't survive." So I'm in New York. When I know that I've reached the bottom was when one night it was raining. I'm walking through Manhattan. It's raining, and I had to get up on a stoop to get out of the rain. So I'm standing in the corner of this archway of a door, staying out of the rain. I fell asleep standing in the arch, right? And guy walked up to me and said, "Why don't you find yourself somewhere to live?" Like I had become homeless,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hit me. You really kind of down. You really kind of messed up.
You ain't in the penthouse.
You ain't
no
in the
more.
penthouse no more. And so from there, I ended up staying with someone in the projects. It's no way in the world you could put your mind where mine was.
Yeah.
I'm used to penthouses, and I'm staying in a high-rise project.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen those in New York.
Okay.
I had a nice
you know,
place.
you get in the elevator, and they smell like urinals and stuff, and so I found myself there. I would say, had it not been for that mother that opened that, I would not, and so I was there and down and broken, and God said, I'm going to rescue you this time, but after this,
Yeah.
you're on your own. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm ready to throw in the towel. I don't want no more, you know. And so a preacher called me from Florida. He said, I don't know why. He said, but God told me to tell you to get here. He said, if you can get to the airport, there's a ticket there waiting on you. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah, I'm
know.
on the way, sir.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have nothing. So it wasn't even a suitcase to pack.
Yeah.
I had, you know, I got my suit, and I've always made fun of this, but if I have a suit and my Bible, I can survive.
Yeah.
And so that's all I had, a suit and my Bible. And I got on the plane. I went down there. And so when I got there, he picked me up at the airport. He said, now, I don't know what's supposed to happen from here, but God told me to bring you here. And he put me in a place. I stayed in that place for about 3 or 4 days. And fortunately, my sister, my blood sister, moved to the same area. So she gave me a room in the back of her place. I stayed in there, and I was so broken till all I could do was pray.
Yeah.
You know, I'm praying and crying and praying. She's trying to make me eat. I don't want to eat.
Right.
I'm just fasting. I'm stay before the Lord. And I've messed up with God. I need God to restore me. And so he did. The pastor came and said, okay, the Lord told me to tell you to come do a revival. And that was down in Fort Lauderdale. When I did that revival, God, he took it out of, I think it was like 6 weeks of revival, night after night after night. And then they were doing Saturday night, Sunday night. You just went. But the people were coming. Souls were being saved. People were being delivered. It was in that revival that I saw one of my first miracles. Blind eyes were open. I said, okay, God is back.
Yeah.
So I'm back. And so I'm doing it, and I it's amazing how we can so easily go back, you know. And so I'm doing this 6 weeks of revival. People, I'm saying, okay, it's time to raise some money now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Where's the offering?
Yeah, you know. And so I tried. And I couldn't. I couldn't do it. It doesn't matter what I asked for, how I asked, nothing. It just wasn't about that. It was about the deliverances that were taking place, and the people were actually being delivered. And so after that 6 weeks, I went to another part of South Florida, and we established a ministry. And I did what makes it so bad. I did all of these things before. I opened up churches. You know, I'd go in, start a revival. You know, 15, 20 people would connect. You know, start a church. Build the membership up to 50, 60 people. I gave it to preachers. Here, this is not my calling. I'm not a pastor. I didn't understand who I was at that time.
Right.
So I just give them, and I did that like 6 or 7 times, you know. Then when I started down in South Florida, I said, okay, I'm not giving this one away. I'm going to build this and do what I have to do. But God didn't want me there. And so we had some people there that were following me, and there was a young man and his wife. They were following and connecting. They were in ministry. I birthed them into ministry. And so something happened in the ministry, and I said, okay, you all pastor this. I'm going up to, I think I was going to, it's another little Indian town somewhere around there in South Florida, and I'm going to start another work. Didn't work. Went down. The pastor that I gave the church to in Fort Lauderdale, they connected with another overseer right out from under me. And so they went to where
we
they
didn't
were.
discuss that. That wasn't in the plan.
No, right, you know. And so, you know, just things kept going. And then finally, one day, the Lord said, get in your truck and drive north until I tell you to stop. Elder Stewart was here with me.
Said you had them rubbing peanuts together.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I didn't have a lot of money then, and we had enough. I gassed up, and we just started. And I got to 10, got to Interstate 10 there in Jacksonville, and he said, "Go west." So I got another tank of gas and went west.
Yeah.
Ran out of money at Pensacola. You know.
I hope this is where you want me to stop.
Yeah. So we stopped here, and well, run out of money to me, it was not be completely broke. Run out of money to me was, okay, we got either enough money for a room, or we got enough money for gas. And but he said stop, so I stopped. We got a room, and that's how I got here in Pensacola.
Yeah.
I've gone through a lot here in Pensacola. You know, I've never attacked any preacher in this city, but for whatever reason, God kept me separated from all of them. I've always shown my hand in friendship, you know, extended my love, but there was no connection. And I think that what God was doing was keeping me apart from the bondage of church.
Yeah.
So that he could give me the revelation of kingdom, you know. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe the message of the kingdom is having such an impact on believers now, you know, that it was the awaited message. You know, it was not something that, you know, hey, you can work up to this. God had to really separate me completely and stand alone and hear him. And the message of the kingdom was birthed in my spirit.
Right.
You know, and that's where I am today.
And he's been blowing our minds with this message of the kingdom, by the way.
And I think that it is one of the most powerful revelations of our time, and simply because it is saying that now that the church has to come out of the bondage of tradition, the bondage of religion.
Yeah.
And we've walked in those bondages for so long until it's not everybody can come out. You know, I promise you, if the people could experience what I experienced as a result of reordering my steps and allowing God to reorder my steps, if they could only feel and sense where I'm at and what I have, then I believe that they too would desire it. You know, but when I consider all of the men and women of God that are there, if they would pause long enough to really hear this message, there would be no fight.
Yeah.
You know, there would be no fight. There could be no fight. It's scripturally sound.
It is.
You know, it is the promotion of the church, where we've come out of the church.
Right.
You know, and I believe that when God began speaking to people and saying, take the church out of the walls, I don't think that he really meant take it out of the building.
Right.
I think he meant take it out of the walls that have held us and restricted us through the bondage of religion.
Yeah.
Now expand, you know, and so it is through that God has made me an entrepreneur. We have businesses. We're doing things in the community now, all because we got out of that bondage of the church.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes something. I'll say this: it takes something. Anyone, any minister, any elder, anyone who's called, if you're not prepared to go through, to experience the suffering, and it's not. It's like I was saying last night.
Yeah.
It's not the suffering where you're hurting and crying,
right.
but it is the suffering of being changed.
Right.
Nobody in their right mind really embraces change.
Right.
Change says you have to leave this, you have to leave that, let this go. So nobody really
Basically start afresh.
starting afresh.
Yeah.
And so because we want to really see and experience what God is doing, He has taken us through that.
Right.
And if you're, those of you that are watching, I'm sure that there are many ministers of the gospel, many elders, and maybe even some pastors who are watching. I'm saying to you as a father in the gospel, you must be willing to go through that change. None of this means anything if you cannot elevate and get to the next place or the next position where God is sending us as believers.
Yeah.
You know, think about it. We don't. You go to school every year.
There's a new level.
There's a new level.
Yeah.
Every year, and then after a certain amount of years, you leave one school and go to another one because the school that you were at can no longer give you
Right.
what you need at this next level, and that's what the church was missing. The church was missing. I got to change every year. I got to change. You know, one year I wear shorts. The next year I'm wearing long pants. One year I'm wearing long pants and a shirt. The next year I'm wearing long pants, shirt, and a tie.
Right.
I'm changing, and that's what God is doing with the church. You got to go through. You have to, you got to be willing to embrace that part.
Right.
But if you can, you'll survive.
You will.
I would never tell any. I'm grateful to God for every incident in my life.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for getting stabbed. Because if I hadn't got stabbed, I wouldn't have moved to Connecticut.
Right.
I'm grateful for what I went through in Connecticut because I would have never walked into and embraced my ministry in its fullness.
Right.
So every situation that I encountered, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. I think too many of us are looking at the things in which we do encounter and just thinking this is the end all be all. You could have got stabbed and said, well, I guess this is it.
Yeah.
No, this is not it.
It's
This is to push you
push you somewhere else.
to where the Father has for you to
Exactly.
go.
Exactly. And in every situation, there was always an alternative. There were always two ways.
Yeah.
Always. So when I got stabbed, my natural man said, "You got to go get the guy that stabbed you.
You gotta go get your
You know,
back. He can't make it out of this one.
You know, and having stuff on me was prepared to do such. You know, but he didn't intend it. God didn't intend it.
Right.
And it was that night I was in while I was in Philadelphia in a snowstorm. Now, somebody watching will probably kind of have an idea. I was at Broad Street and Girard Avenue, right? I walked from Broad Street and Girard to 46th and Girard.
Now, I don't know how far that is, but I know on Broad Street you wasn't counting.
Right. Okay.
So somehow you got over there to a number that was counting.
Okay.
And it was in the
Got to the
40s.
numbers. In the 40s.
Yeah.
Okay. In a snowstorm.
In a snowstorm.
And he just kept driving me and driving me and driving me and driving me. And then when I got there, I realized where I was. And I was just a block and a half from my mother's church. I walked from there to the church and fell on my face before God. So everything that happened to me was always him trying to get me to him
Right.
the way he wanted me to be.
Right.
You know, broken, wounded, you know.
All of that. He wants you just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can work with that.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
We tend to think that we have to get perfect or we have to reach that state of perfection in order for God to do anything with us. When in reality, he wants us the same way he got his disciples.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't tell this Peter, go to Bible school, you know, take a couple courses in ministry.
Right.
You know, he said, no, Peter, get off your boat with the fishy smell.
Yeah.
And come on and
Just
follow
how you
me.
are.
I want you
Peter
just
was like,
the way you are.
look now.
Yeah, you know.
I ain't the one.
Right. I'm a
Like,
cusser
nah,
and I'm a
you-
fighter and
you
I'm
are
a
the
scraper.
one.
You know, but that's what he wanted.
Right.
And that's who he's using in these especially in this season.
Yeah.
He's using those who are willing to say, okay, just the way I am,
Yeah.
here I am. Can you do anything with me?
That's good right there.
You know? Can
Yeah.
you here I'm fragmented, I'm broken, I'm in pieces.
Yeah.
But can you do anything? Because if you can do anything with me, you can have me.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm here to tell somebody he can.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
He can. He can take you from that broken place
And do great things
and
with
do
you.
great things.
And I think to those of you who are watching this podcast, you'll be able to say, yes, that's me. I went through some of those things. You know, that's why I have nothing negative to say to anyone who is in their issue. Um, I drink. Well, he can use you.
Yeah.
Hey, I do weed. He can use you. I've done some things to some people. Well, he can use you.
Yeah.
Because God is not concerned about how right you are. He's concerned about how obedient you can be.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's why I think I ended up a good leader, because I was a good follower. And I got that structure from being in the gang. There was always somebody telling me, do this, do that, do this. So I learned obedience.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got with him, I was ready to be obedient. And so that's why I think he uses me the way that he does today.
Yeah.
And so I'll challenge anyone who's watching. This is a great podcast for you to like and be a part of. Listen to this as often as you can, because Elder Phifer and his wife, they give good insight on the realities of life. It's not just somebody trying to preach to you, trying to get you to follow them. That's my job. I'm trying to get you 2700
Yes, sir.
West Cervantes Street. You come on over there and I'm gonna help you. But that's not what they do. They come and just deal with the real issues of life. And I can promise you this: if you watch their life and see how God is using them and changing their life, you'll desire to be changed. And I'll tell you right from the rip, he can change you.
Yeah.
He can use you, and he'll do great things with you. All you have to do is surrender.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's why I keep bringing him back, y'all. He do it. He do it every time.
Bless your heart.
He do it every time. I thank you for coming, sir. I thank you for your realness. I thank you for your truth. Look, I'm going to say it one last time, because I really don't think y'all understanding. Okay? I'm willing to literally sit here and say that my relationship with God and my life, my entire life, as obviously a result of the relationship, changed once I met him.
Bless you.
That is no joke.
Thank you.
I struggled to live life before I met him.
Thank you.
And I'm being so serious right now. So look, if you are ready for change, because he's gonna challenge you. He talks to his father, and his father be whispering in his ear, and and he gonna tell his father is gonna tell him in the middle of service to walk up to you and let you know that God sees you and he loves you and he's ready for you. And if you're ready for that, come see him. Even if you ain't ready for it, still come see him.
Well, it's
by the time he get done talking.
Yes, yes. It's a reality. It's a reality that a lot of people don't go to church because they feel like they are not prepared for church.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the psyche, we've been manipulated into believing that we have to get ourselves ready for church. But like I said last night, that's like laying on your couch having a heart attack, and then you say, okay, when I get finished having this heart attack, I'm gonna go to the emergency room. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So what are you saying, Apostle? I'm trying to tell you right where you are. See, you don't have to stay there. Right where you are. If you come to me, and I'll put this on me. If you come to me and allow me to give you words of life, you won't have to worry about your life any longer.
2700 West Cervantes Street. He's there every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. We was just talking about how he preaches over 100 messages a year. So he's there every Sunday.
Yes.
And he's also there every Tuesday night for the Prophet Speak. So you're guaranteed to meet the Prophet
on
Tuesday night
Absolutely.
at 7:30. I thank you for coming yet again.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I love your whole life. So
I'm honored. I'm honored.
No, I'm honored.
Bless your heart.
Thank you, sir. Back to you guys. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We keep coming. I hope you're still listening. I know you're still listening because them views is going up. So we're going to catch you guys again next week. We have yet another special guest. Don't forget to share this with a friend. You never know who needs to hear this. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.